Every morning, billions of people wake up, walk into a bathroom, grab a tiny plastic stick covered in bristles, put mint-flavored paste on it, and aggressively scrub the hardest objects in their face. And somehow, this is completely normal. We brush our teeth when we wake up. We brush them before bed. Some people brush after lunch. Dentists would probably like us to brush even more. And if you forget, you can usually tell. Your mouth starts tasting weird. Your breath begins committing crimes. And your teeth develop that fuzzy feeling that makes you immediately regret every decision you've made since breakfast. But humans have been eating food for hundreds of thousands of years. Toothbrushes? Those are relatively new. So what exactly were humans doing before someone invented the toothbrush? Did ancient people just walk around with horrifying teeth? When did humans realize that maybe we should clean these things? And most importantly, what did people use before toothbrushes existed? Because it turns out, humans have been shoving surprisingly strange things into their mouths for thousands of years. And to understand why, we need to go back to a time before bathrooms, before toothpaste, before dentists, and technically, before cavities were nearly as big of a problem as they are today. Imagine you're a human living thousands of years ago. Your bathroom doesn't exist. Your toothbrush doesn't exist. Your toothpaste doesn't exist. And if you tell someone you have a dentist appointment at 3, they're going to assume you've been possessed by a forest spirit. But strangely enough, your teeth might not be doing as badly as you'd expect. Early humans absolutely suffered from dental problems. Archaeologists have found evidence of cavities, tooth wear, infections, and even attempts at dental treatment going back thousands of years. But diet made a huge difference. Hunter-gatherers generally weren't spending their evenings eating gummy bears and drinking enormous cups of soda. Their diets tended to contain much less refined sugar. And sugar is extremely important to this story, because your mouth is basically an apartment complex for bacteria. Some of those bacteria love carbohydrates and sugars. They consume them, produce acids, and those acids can gradually attack tooth enamel, which means every time you eat something sugary, you aren't eating alone. Congratulations, you have roommates, and you keep buying them groceries. Early diets could still cause dental problems, but things became more complicated as humans changed how they ate. Around 10,000 years ago, agriculture began spreading through different parts of the world. People started growing more crops, eating more grains, settling into permanent communities, and generally doing all the things that eventually lead to taxes. Agriculture was revolutionary, but your teeth weren't necessarily thrilled about it. Diets became increasingly rich in starchy carbohydrates, food processing changed, and in many ancient populations, cavities became more common. Humans now had another problem. Food gets stuck in teeth, plaque builds up, breath starts smelling questionable. And unlike modern humans, you can't just walk into a pharmacy and stare at 17 different varieties of toothpaste. So people improvised. One of humanity's oldest dental tools was incredibly sophisticated. It was called a stick. People chewed on twigs or small branches until one end became soft and fibrous. Then those fibers could be rubbed against the teeth. Basically, you make a toothbrush by eating part of the toothbrush. Simple, portable, biodegradable, and available almost anywhere trees exist. Versions of chewing sticks appeared in multiple ancient cultures. Evidence of tooth cleaning practices goes back thousands of years in places including ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, and elsewhere. And some chewing sticks weren't just random pieces of wood. Certain plants were deliberately chosen. One famous example is the miswak, traditionally made from the Salvadora persica tree. It's been used for centuries across parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, and is still used today. The end is chewed until the fibers separate, creating something surprisingly similar to toothbrush bristles. So, thousands of years before someone put nylon bristles on a plastic handle, humans had basically looked at a branch and thought, I can work with this. But sticks weren't enough, because eventually humans discovered another important dental technology, toothpaste. Well, sort of. Ancient Egyptians appear to have used various tooth powders and cleaning mixtures, and this is where dental history gets considerably more aggressive. Ancient cleaning powders could contain abrasive ingredients such as powdered minerals. Other historical tooth cleaning mixtures across different cultures included things like salt, herbs, charcoal, ashes, and crushed materials designed to scrape grime from teeth. The basic logic actually makes sense. If your teeth feel dirty, rub something gritty on them. Unfortunately, there is a difference between polishing your teeth and sanding them. Imagine waking up in ancient Egypt. You grab your chewing stick, dip it into some abrasive powder, and start scrubbing. No refreshing mint flavor, no whitening protection, No smiling dentist on the packaging, just you, a stick, and a mysterious bowl of mouth sand. But humans clearly understood something important. Clean teeth felt better, bad breath was unpleasant, food stuck between teeth was annoying, and dental pain was absolutely miserable. So people experimented. And they didn't stop at brushing. If you've ever had something stuck between two teeth, you already understand how this happened. You don't need a scientific revolution. You need 5 minutes of irritation. Humans used thin objects to remove food from between teeth long before modern dental floss. Toothpicks are incredibly old. Archaeologists have even found grooves on ancient human teeth that may have been caused by repeatedly using small implements between them. Which means somewhere in prehistory, someone finished dinner, felt something stuck between two molars, and thought, this cannot remain. That person spiritually understands everyone who has ever spent 20 minutes attacking a popcorn kernel. People use small sticks, plant fibers, and other thin materials. But for most of history, dental care was basically whatever worked. Then sugar arrived in much larger quantities, and everything got worse. Sugar existed long before modern civilization. Humans ate fruits, honey, naturally sweet plants. But refined sugar was different. Producing sugar from sugarcane was labor-intensive, and for much of history, refined sugar was expensive and relatively uncommon in many places. Then global trade expanded, sugar plantations expanded, production increased dramatically, and over the centuries, sugar became cheaper and more widely available. Humanity responded responsibly. Obviously, we put it in everything: tea, coffee, cakes, candies, pastries, sauces, drinks, breakfast, dessert, snacks. Things that absolutely did not need sugar somehow received sugar anyway. Our mouth bacteria must have thought they'd won the lottery. Dental decay became a much bigger problem in populations consuming large amounts of refined carbohydrates and sugar. And suddenly, cleaning your teeth became increasingly important. Fortunately, humans were also improving the toothbrush. One major development happened in China. By the late 1400s, toothbrushes using stiff animal bristles were being made. These were often bristles taken from pigs, attached to handles made from materials such as bone or bamboo. And this is much closer to something we'd recognize today. Handle, bristles, scrub. Except your modern toothbrush probably doesn't involve pig hair. Hopefully. The idea eventually spread and evolved. Europeans experimented with different designs and materials. Some preferred softer horsehair. Others continued using cloth, sponges, tooth powders, or other methods. Because for centuries, there was no universally accepted dental routine. You might clean your teeth with a brush. Your neighbor might use a cloth. Someone else might use powder. And another person might apparently decide that dental hygiene was a problem for future them, which, historically, was not a great strategy. Because if a tooth became badly infected, there weren't many pleasant options. Modern dentistry isn't exactly everyone's favorite activity, but historical dentistry makes modern dentistry look like a spa treatment. If you had a severely damaged tooth, the solution was often extraction, meaning remove tooth. Tools used for extraction evolved over time, but the basic strategy was remarkably consistent. Grab problem, pull problem, problem gone, along with the tooth. Pain relief was limited compared with modern anesthesia. Infections were dangerous, and specialized dental care wasn't always available. In parts of Europe, barber surgeons historically performed various procedures, including tooth extractions. So you could theoretically go somewhere associated with shaving and minor surgery, and leave with fewer teeth. Suddenly, your dentist asking you to floss doesn't seem so unreasonable. Preventing dental problems started sounding like a pretty good idea. And by the 1700s, the toothbrush was becoming increasingly recognizable. In England, one famous name in toothbrush history is William Addis. According to the traditional story, Addis was imprisoned in the late 1700s and decided the existing methods of cleaning teeth weren't good enough. He supposedly saved a small animal bone from a meal, drilled holes into it, inserted bristles, and created a toothbrush design. After leaving prison, he went into toothbrush manufacturing. Whether every detail of the story happened exactly as later retellings describe it, the Addis business became an important toothbrush manufacturer, and toothbrush production gradually expanded. But there was still a problem. Animal bristles aren't ideal. They can retain moisture, they can harbor bacteria, they can fall out. And at some point, you have to explain to someone that they're brushing their teeth with hair from an animal. Technology eventually provided a better answer. Nylon. In the 1930s, synthetic nylon bristles began replacing natural animal hair. Suddenly, toothbrushes could be produced with durable, consistent synthetic bristles. And around the same period, dental hygiene campaigns were becoming increasingly important, especially during the 20th century. Here's the strange thing. Even after toothbrushes existed, not everyone brushed their teeth regularly. Owning a toothbrush and actually using it every day are two very different achievements. Regular brushing became increasingly normalized through dental education, advertising, mass-produced toothpaste, schools, public health campaigns, and changing expectations around cleanliness. The military also played a role in reinforcing dental hygiene habits. During World War II, American soldiers were expected to maintain personal hygiene, including regular toothbrushing. Millions of servicemen returned home accustomed to brushing regularly. Meanwhile, toothpaste companies were becoming very good at selling people something ancient humans had already understood. Your mouth feels better when your teeth are clean. But toothpaste itself was changing too. Earlier tooth powders gradually gave way to pastes sold in jars and eventually tubes. Companies experimented with flavors, foaming agents, abrasives, and eventually one ingredient transformed modern dental care: fluoride. Scientists had noticed something strange in certain communities. Some populations had unusual staining or mottling on their teeth, but they also seemed to have fewer cavities. Researchers eventually connected this phenomenon with naturally occurring fluoride in drinking water. At appropriate levels, fluoride helps strengthen tooth enamel and makes teeth more resistant to decay. That discovery eventually influenced public water fluoridation and toothpaste. Fluoride toothpaste became widespread during the 20th century, which means modern toothbrushing isn't simply scraping food off your teeth. You're also delivering fluoride to the tooth surface. Ancient humans had sticks. Ancient Egyptians had abrasive powders. Medieval people had toothpicks and cloths. Early modern Europeans had animal bristle brushes. And modern humans have engineered chemical formulations: electric toothbrushes, pressure sensors, timers, Bluetooth connectivity, and toothbrushes that can apparently report your brushing habits to your phone. Thousands of years of technological progress. So your toothbrush can tell you, you missed the back left. There wasn't one moment when someone invented dental hygiene. There wasn't one ancient genius who woke up and announced, everyone, mouth meeting. Instead, tooth cleaning developed gradually across different civilizations. Humans noticed food stuck between their teeth. They noticed unpleasant breath. They noticed buildup. They experienced toothaches. And they experimented with ways to prevent those problems. Sticks became chewing brushes. Powders became toothpaste. Animal hair became nylon. Simple cleaning habits became modern dentistry. And our changing diet made those habits increasingly important, especially once humans became extremely good at producing cheap sugar. So the next time you're standing in your bathroom, half asleep, brushing your teeth, remember that you're participating in a ritual thousands of years in the making. Humans have cleaned their teeth with twigs, cloth, fibers, powders, charcoal, salt, and brushes made from animal hair. All because our ancestors discovered one universal truth: having something stuck in your teeth is unbelievably annoying. And after thousands of years of experimentation, we've finally arrived at the modern toothbrush, a carefully engineered dental tool made from synthetic materials, designed using centuries of scientific knowledge, paired with toothpaste developed through modern chemistry. Also, we can use it for 2 minutes, twice a day, which, according to every dentist ever, some of us are still failing to do.